Okay, welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Full Body Science Applied series. So in this video, we're going to go through the second full body workout of the week on our new 5-day per week high frequency split. And as before, if this split just seems totally crazy to you, make sure you check out my Science Explained video on high frequency training to put it in context. So in this video, we're hitting a chest-focused workout. So even though we're still hitting our full body, we're prioritizing the chest by placing it earlier in the workout, which has been shown in the scientific literature to increase strength and performance. So we're kicking things off with 3 sets of 3 reps on the bench press with 85% of our 1 rep max. And even though they're not max effort sets, they're still quite heavy, which begs the question, do rep counts as low as 3 belong in a hypertrophy-focused program at all? Well, I think it depends. I personally like to include some pure strength work because first of all, I'm not only concerned about building muscle, I also care about getting stronger, and strength is specific. So if you want a stronger bench, you've got to lift heavy. But secondly, I think a lot of people underplay the fact that low rep strength work does actually contribute to hypertrophy, both directly and indirectly. Indirectly, getting stronger in lower rep ranges is going to allow you to overload more heavily in more moderate rep ranges, leading to more cumulative tension over time. And in my opinion, as you get more advanced, continuing to get stronger is important for continued progress. Also, as long as volume is matched, research shows that low rep sets cause similar hypertrophy as high rep sets. In 2014, Schoenfeld and colleagues split subjects into a group doing 3 sets of 10 reps and 7 sets of 3 reps, and found that after 8 weeks of full body training, both groups gained the same amount of muscle. However, it's worth noting that the heavy workouts took over 4 times as long to complete and had a higher dropout rate, so it probably wouldn't be sustainable over the long term. But contrary to what we used to think, low rep heavy training can build muscle, it just isn't always the most practical way to train. So when it comes to the bench press, we generally want to use external cues rather than internal cues, meaning you want to focus more on moving the weight with good technique rather than worrying about the mind-muscle connection. In fact, despite the fact that recent evidence has shown value in using the mind-muscle connection on some isolation exercises, over 15 years of research has consistently found that an external focus on the movement itself improves motor performance, including strength. So with this in mind, I'm just going to run through a sequence of a few cues I've picked up on over the years. First, you want to squeeze the bar as hard as you can before lowering it. Next, think about bending the bar forward, which is going to cue your elbows to tuck in a bit and help maintain upper back tightness on the bench. As you near the bottom, actively puff your chest up and then push the floor away from you as you press the weight up and back. So in terms of progression, here we're alternating heavier sets of 3 with relatively lighter sets of 5 from week to week. And the idea is for those heavy 3s to have strength carry over to the 5s, which will then have strength carry over to 8s later down the road. So building up this raw pressing strength can help you continue to make progress as you get more advanced, even if your main goal is hypertrophy. All right, up next, we're hitting low to high cable flies for 3 sets of 15 at an RPE of 9. So because this is an isolation exercise, we can push these sets a little closer to failure without having to worry as much about fatigue. And here I like to cue for all 3 biomechanical actions of the pec by thinking about hugging a big, tall tree. So you're not only hugging, you're also lifting your arms up because, say, the tree is really tall. And I like to have my palms facing up at the bottom and then down at the top to take the pecs from a fully stretched to a fully contracted position. And this cueing is going to allow us to train horizontal shoulder adduction, shoulder flexion, and internal rotation all at the same time. Okay, after that, we're hitting 3 sets of 12 reps on the Romanian deadlift. Now, because RDLs cause so much muscle damage by loading the hamstrings in a highly stretched position, we want to be mindful to stay about 2 to 3 reps shy of failure, as sore hamstrings can really deteriorate future training performance, at least until the repeated bout effect starts to kick in around week 2 or 3. But regardless, I usually try to bracket any workout I do RDLs with low impact hamstring work. So you'll remember from day 1 that we hit lying leg curls, and then on day 3, we won't actually do any direct hamstrings work at all to allow for adequate recovery from these RDLs. Also, we're not doing any direct quad work on day 2 because those squats from day 1 tend to be pretty disruptive, and I usually try to have 1 day of recovery after hitting those. So we'll give the quads 1 day of rest before jumping into the leg press that we'll be hitting on day 3. So it isn't the point that you need to hit every muscle every single day. You want to think of it just like taking your weekly volume that you'd need to make progress on any split and just spacing it out evenly across the week in a way that makes sense for performance and recovery. And I prefer to use RDLs as a lighter mind-muscle connection type movement. I find that if I load them too heavily, my lower back simply takes over. And remember from Technique Tuesday that you should simply focus on setting your hips straight back. And for most people, the endpoint should be just below the knees. And going deeper than that will often just result in lower back rounding. All right, up next, we're hitting a chest-supported row for 3 sets of 15 reps. Now, you can do these on a T-bar machine. The key is just that they're actually chest-supported. Remember from day one that for the most part, we're alternating between a vertical pull and a horizontal pull. So today, it's time for a row, and we're opting for a chest-supported variation just because it spares the lower back. With high-frequency training, it's really important that we not overtax the spinal erectors since they play a stabilization role in most free weight compound exercises. So by bracing your chest, you relieve the lower back of that stabilization role, allowing for more recovery there while still smashing the mid-traps and lats. And one thing I've been doing on these lately is really exaggerating the scapular protraction and retraction, allowing the weight to sort of pull my mid-back apart at the bottom and then really retracting all the way at the top. Okay, next we're hitting the standing Arnold press for 3 sets of 12 reps. Now the main reason I like doing these standing is that there is a bit more of a stabilization role to be played, which means there might be more involvement from the lateral delt. And I really try to emphasize my lateral delts in my programming because in my experience, they can tolerate quite a lot of volume, and they're just so important for developing that X-frame, broad-shouldered appearance. Another thing I'm focusing on here is initiating the press by sweeping the dumbbells out, almost like doing a reverse pec deck, and then pressing them up. This way you can get the rear delts involved at the beginning, and then as you press, the side and front delts will contribute more. All right, after that, we're moving on to 3 sets of 15 on the tricep press down. And on this split, I'm alternating between bicep and tricep isolation work from day to day. So on days we do tricep work, we won't do any direct bicep work and vice versa. Now, both of these muscles get a lot of indirect work from all the compound exercises in the program. So I think they only need about 6 to 10 sets of isolation work per week, especially when the effort is very high for them, as it is in this routine. Also, I'm doing these one arm at a time, starting with my weaker side, and I'm allowing my elbow to come forward a bit to stretch the triceps at the top, and then I'm hyperextending my shoulder at the bottom, turning the movement into a sort of push-down, kick-back combo, which absolutely smashes the long head of the triceps, at least for me anyway. And we're gonna finish out the workout with some Smith machine shrugs. Again, similar to the chest support on the row, the Smith machine is gonna help spare your lower back since it won't have as much of a stabilization demand. Now, of course, if you don't have a Smith machine, free weights will still work fine, but as an extra recovery precaution, especially since I've had lower back issues in the past, I really like the Smith machine for these. And we're gonna go with the usual cues here. We wanna use a wider grip to emphasize scapular upward rotation, as the upper traps don't only elevate the scapulae, they also rotate them upward. So think about shrugging both up and in like you're trying to lift your shoulders to your ears. And remember, the shrug isn't a contest to see who can hold the most weight, so while cheat shrugs certainly can have their place, in the context of a high frequency plan, I think it's much smarter to emphasize more controlled movements using a lighter load and a stronger mind-muscle connection. Okay, and that's gonna be it for this workout, guys. I'll put a link to the first leg-focused full body workout over here if you'd like to check it out, and I'll put a link to the next back-focused full body workout over here once that actually goes live. If you're interested in having all this information put into a complete 10-week training program, you can check out my new high-frequency full body program designed for intermediate to advanced level lifters over on jeffnippard.com. Don't forget to leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all here in the next one.